What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical normal American guy here to learn and react today to the top 10 must see attractions in London. Now, I don't know much about London. I know there's a clock tower. There's a clock, a big clock, and that it's the capital of England. I can at least say that. Right? Right? Hold on. We're fact checking. I can't even spell it. London. London. London is the capital of the largest city in England and the United Kingdom. Capital of England. Oh, so it's kind of like Washington, D.C., where it's the capital of England, but it's also technically the capital of the entire nation, the United Kingdom. Interesting. I don't mind getting down into the nitty-gritty details here and learning something. But anyway, with that all being said, let's see the top 10 must-see attractions in London, right?
Welcome to the Big Smoke, where reminders of the city's long history can be found around every corner. This is Mojo Travels, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 must-see attractions in London. Are you a fan of our videos?
Sounds
Be sure
good.
to subscribe to Mojo Travels.
Oh, okay. Since they did that, thank you, Mojo Travels. I give you a like for that. Okay.
Ring the bell to be notified about our latest
Obligatory
videos.
like. Since they
For
put
this
in
list,
here.
we'll be looking at some of the most iconic, popular, and historically relevant attractions that everyone should visit when passing.
There it is. Big Ben, right? I don't claim to know a lot about UK culture or certainly not UK landmarks, but we know this famous clock tower at the very least. I don't know why, of all the things in English culture, in UK civilization, why this clock tower is the one thing that's told to American children growing up. But I don't know. I've never really thought about that, but I don't know anything else about London except about this tower.
Through London. Number 10, National Gallery. Museums are always fantastic tourist destinations, and London is home to some absolutely phenomenal ones that even the most laissez-faire traveler.
It's got some cool fountains. I'll give it that. Maybe we could take a look at the actual inside of the museum. It's so great, please.
Won't be able to help but appreciate. The National Gallery is one such institution. This iconic art museum is located in the famous Trafalgar Square, and just the building alone is worth the trip. A formidable...
I would be kind of pissed if I mean, the building's very nice and very historical looking, but I'd be pissed if I just spent my whole trip traveling all the way to England and only got to stand on the outside of the museum. Please, let me in.
And masterfully designed structure, it's home to over 2,000 works of art, including pieces by household names like Leonardo da Vinci, Vincent van Gogh, Rembrandt, and Renoir. Given that
That's very much worth visiting, for sure.
It's a true repository of European art from throughout history. It's little wonder that the National Gallery welcomes over 5.5 million visitors every year.
Man, that's kind of the thing about things like this, right? Super famous landmarks, especially in England. It's probably a super busy city. And you're already getting 5 million plus people stuffing themselves in and out of this museum every year. God. But it's kind of the price you pay, and I feel like it's still something you got to do. Any famous places like that, right? You go there, it's gonna be busy. People know about it. It kind of kills a little bit of the romanticism about it, the romantic vibe, but it's all worth it in the end.
Making it one of the most popular attractions in the entire country. Number 9, Hyde Park. Located in central London, Hyde Park covers 350 acres of land. Given its impressive size, beautiful design, and location within...
This is beautiful. And I don't know if it's just the drone shot, because a good drone shot can make a lot of things look pretty cool, but I just love forests in this park. When you can keep this much of a forest treed look to your national park, it makes it beautiful.
In a major metropolis, it tends to earn a lot of comparisons to New York City's Central Park.
Oh,
But
okay.
really, that feels like a disservice to Hyde Park's long and storied history.
Oh, sorry. Sorry if we're comparing it to Central Park in New York City. Apparently this is much, much more historical. I'll give it that, if true. I'm willing to be open here about the debate between this and Central Park, although I'm biased, probably.
In its earliest form, it served as the private hunting ground of Henry VIII. Much later, in 1851, it
Look
was
at this.
home to the Great Exhibition in the Crystal Palace. So yeah, it's got history. And nowadays,
A king actually used this territory to like hunt on? Is this national park gigantic? I mean, it looks huge.
everywhere you look, there are testaments to that
And what is this structure here? It's very, very interesting. It has a cross on top. Might be some kind of religious monument. Excuse my ignorance, but I have no clue what this thing is. It's very cool though. And it's in the park, which there were a couple things they were showing where there are attractions within the attraction that is this park. Makes it even better.
storied past. Stroll amongst its towering trees, appreciate the various monuments, or check out the Speaker's Corner, a historic spot included for public oration, dating
Cool.
back to the Victorian era. Number 8, British
cool.
Museum. Another museum already? Cool.
Yeah, this guy's in my head. I was thinking another museum. Okay. I mean, okay.
As stuffy if you want, but London seriously delivers when it comes to educational institutions dedicated to arts, culture, and history.
I mean, a good museum, it's hard to beat a good museum because you can go in, spend hours, all of these works of art and history are compiled into this one location. So you have access to like this huge compendium of information and interesting things all in one spot. How can you beat it? I kind of get why there's two museums.
The single most popular tourist attraction in the entire country, with over close to 6 million visitors annually, it has more than earned
This is the most popular tourist attraction in England? Like the number one? I would never have thought that. Because there's so many things in England. I mean, I only know about a couple of the towers, and I actually don't know if Parliament or some castles are located there. Anyway, there's probably a lot of very visually stunning historical buildings and stuff all around the city. So you would think just because of people's appetite for the visual, they would want, and traveling, they'd want to go there. So it's fascinating that a museum actually wins out. The British Museum wins as the most traveled tourist spot. You can say 6 million people a year. Sheesh.
its attention of the masses. Millions of fascinating art objects are spread across dozens of galleries, ranging far.
Hold on, I can't stop thinking about this. I just watched Buckingham Palace. Where are you? Where are you? London, England. I should have known. Forgive me. I just made a video about Buckingham Palace, but I only had England in mind when I was watching that. It's in London. Got it. Saving it to my hard drive. We're good.
Far and wide in subject and era, from antiquity to modernity. Some of the most popular must-see attractions include the Rosetta Stone, which
What? Okay, now I understand why this is so famous, why everyone goes here, why everyone has to visit this place. It's got the Rosetta Stone, probably more. It's insane.
was crucial to understanding the written language of ancient Egypt and
Yeah.
the Sutton Hoo ship burial relics. Number 7,
Wow.
London Eye. As much as we love the rich history on display in London, it's also very, very much a modern city, with attractions to match.
London Eye? Wait, what is that? What are we exactly talking about?
Then, London Eye. As much as we love the rich history on display in London, it's also very, very much a modern city, with attractions to match. The London Eye is a massive
Oh.
observational Ferris wheel that reaches
Oh.
a staggering 400.
Oh. I thought maybe we were talking about a pier or a walkway or like a park or I didn't know we were talking about the wheel, the Ferris wheel. That was not obvious to me, although now I get London Eye, like it's shaped like an eyeball. If I was a bit of a detective, I could have maybe put two and two together, but whatever. Sometimes, simple American needs things spelled out to him sometimes. Thank you, narrator.
143 feet into the air, offering breathtaking views of the city and many of its most recognizable attractions.
Oh, this is 100% something I would want to go on. I love stuff like this. Just because it's like physical. You sit in it, it's a little ride. You get to go to the top, probably get a beautiful view of London. It's got everything. I love little stuff like this that has you're not just walking around looking at things. That's what essentially any vacation is, right? Any destination location is you're walking around seeing things. So just getting to chill on the London Eye for a little bit, calm down, soak it in, take it all in, that would be super cool. I love that.
At £37 per adult when you book ahead and £40 day of, it's by no means a cheap experience.
I'll
but
pay it.
considering the entire ride lasts about
I'd pay
30
it.
minutes, a lifetime compared to the conventional Ferris wheels, and the technology that went into its design, you're actually getting a pretty good deal.
I mean, I'd probably pay a ridiculous amount. It could have been more than £30, I think he said. But, or 40? 30 minutes in this thing? I guess, you want to soak it in, but my God, that's really soaking it in. Hopefully you don't get into like a fight or an argument with your travel companions over which London ice cream shop you want to go to next, because you're stuck in there for 30 minutes once you get in. But in all seriousness, I guess the point is it's kind of an experience all into itself, being on this London Eye. So I kind of thought it'd be 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It's going slow. 30 minutes. You get your money's worth.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience in the truest sense, and well worth your visit.
That's
Number
cool.
6, Trafalgar Square.
Trafalgar Square. Just making sure I understand correctly. Trafalgar Square.
We noted Trafalgar Square when talking about the National Gallery, but this iconic space in Westminster is far more than just a means to an end. It's an important piece of...
It's a cool space. I mean, seems like there's a lot of people kind of sitting around chilling by the giant lion statues. And it is cool, but is there a history to it, maybe?
London's history. The square itself, in its current form, only dates back to 1840, but the location's historical importance goes way back to the 13th century, when it was home to the King's Mews. Over the years...
The King's Mews? The King's Mews, what is this? The King... What are we talking about here? King's Mews. I'm not familiar with this. It's the name of a song. No. It's a musical artist and a TV show. No, please. London? King's Mews? What are you? Mews. In-store shopping? No. What on earth? The King's Mews? Maybe? Huh. It's home to the King's Mews? What does this mean? What are we talking about?
Back to the 13th century, when it was home to the King's Mews. Over the years, since it's
something that existed 700 years ago, called the King's Mews. Is Google really not going to save me here? That's unusual. I've become completely and utterly dependent upon the internet to answer all my problems. Oh, am I spelling it wrong? Yes, am I spelling it wrong? Please have me be making a spelling error. For the first time in my life, I want it. The King's Mews at Charing Cross was destroyed by a fire. Okay. The stables and carriage house? I'm gonna assume this is it. Previously... I don't want to spend all day on this, but A stable and carriage house. A historical building of some sort for the king. Okay. That's at least way closer than I was before. I was in La La Land. I didn't know what was happening. All right.
Inauguration as a public space, Trafalgar Square has been seen by many as the beating heart of London, a place of public gatherings both celebratory and otherwise. Named to commemorate the Battle of Trafalgar, it's the site of important statues and monuments and is ringed by numerous buildings or architectural significance.
Wow, look at this shot. This is great. I mean, this is also just showing a bit of London, of which I am not familiar with. I mean, I see the Trafalgar Square. Is that what it's called? Oh, I'm mispronouncing it. I don't know what it's called. It went by so quick. What do you call it again?
Square when talking. Number 6, Trafalgar.
Trafalgar Square. Trafalgar Square. Got it. I'll forget it in 2 seconds. Forgive me. This is so cool. This video could have just talked about like the average look of London, and I don't know what that looks like, so I still would have been like, oh, whoa, so new to me. But it is all new to me, so genuinely, this is fascinating. Including Trafalgar Square and even around it. Looks very cool, but drone shots do that, so I don't know.
Or architectural significance, including St. Martin in the Fields.
And it's cool that that has become kind of the go-to town square for London, if that's true, if I heard correctly. And a place maybe to celebrate certain events and occasions in London. That's very cool. Very cool.
Number 5, the Victoria and Albert Museum.
Another museum. But the last one had the Rosetta Stone, for crying out loud. So museums, I'm really giving a lot of leeway to the museums.
Last but most certainly not least of the museums that we're highly recommending today is the V&A, which is dedicated to the decorative arts and sculpture, as well as design in general.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That would be the museum I'd want to go to. Maybe the British Museum for historical purposes, but my memory is like a goldfish when I watch these. Like, I can't digest it into my long-term memory past 5 seconds.
Number 5,
okay. At least I have this screen to help me. The Victoria and Albert Museum. The fact that this is focused on design, sculpture, show me those sculptures. Show them to me. I would love that. Yeah.
The decorative arts and sculpture, as well as design in general.
That'd be so
cool. The largest museum of its kind in the city, it covers a wide range of materials, from ancient furniture and rugs to the distinctive fashions of bygone cultures.
Fashion and carpentry stuff, furniture. Oh my gosh, this is my favorite thing so far. Besides that Ferris wheel, the London Eye. I'd hop on that London Eye, grab an ice cream, and run here to this museum. That'd be day number 1.
For anyone who finds traditional art or historical artifacts a little dull, the modern importance of this museum is sure to appeal. Contemporary fashion and design are always looking backwards for inspiration after all. Of course, this museum's temporary exhibits also tend to be more modern in their concerns, with retrospectives on contemporary fashion icons and designers, as well as investigations into the trends of the current design world.
Yeah, that makes sense. It hosts contemporary art pieces where more current artists come and put on a show of their work. I know of this. I've heard of this. Can't say I've ever gone to one. I'd give it a chance.
Number 4, St. Paul's Cathedral. Built in the late 17th century.
St. Paul's Cathedral. I am familiar with that name, and by the name, you know it's a cathedral. I don't know if I would have actually known it was in London. I'm a little ashamed to admit, but I'm willing to check it out. Learn a little.
Century on the site of another St. Paul's, which dated all the way back to 604 AD, Christopher Wren's iconic landmark of the London skyline is among the city's most
Yeah, that is pretty beautiful. The cathedral and the skyline, and happens to be a beautiful night out when they took this time lapse. They kind of got lucky, Or maybe it's always a beautiful sky over London. I don't know, could be. Just be another plus.
Symbolic. If the dome reminds you of St. Peter's Cathedral in the Vatican City, you're not wrong. It was heavily influenced by that latter structure in terms of design and grandeur.
Okay.
By all means, considering the terrifying bombardment that London was subjected to during the Second World War, it's a miracle.
Wait. I don't even know a lot of America's history in World War II. I'm not a history buff at all. But I did not know London suffered a bombardment during World War II.
Terrifying bombardment that London was subjected to during the Second World War, it's
I gotta learn about that. I gotta watch a video on that. That's kind of a big deal. A very big deal. Huh.
a miracle that St. Paul's Cathedral survived. But survived the Blitz it did.
Oh, and this cathedral survived that bombing. That's fantastic. Yeah, that's horrific. I didn't know that.
And with minimal structural damage to
Hey! Adobe. Get out of here. Adobe. Trying to have its little moment in the video. Okay, you got it.
boot. From that day forward, it stood as a symbol of the city's strength and ability to weather tragedy of all sorts. So walk through its hallowed doors, marvel at the architecture, take in the breathtaking view from the Golden Gallery, and try out the Whispering Gallery with its sound bouncing effects.
Oh my gosh. Oh, cool. Sound bouncing effects? Count me in. Yeah, that's beautiful. Look at this. I would want to find this exact spot where they set this camera up and recreate it in real life. Just to have, and I'd stand there for 12 hours as well to have the real life time lapse until someone told me to go home because I'd probably smell or something. At
And
that
try
point,
out the Whispering Gallery with its sound bouncing effects. Number 3, Tower of London.
Tower of London. This is another historical London landmark that Americans certainly will have heard. My first thought about it, was it a prison or for torture or something like that? Like a bad connotation with the Tower of London. That could be completely wrong. That's just where my mind goes when I think of it. I wonder if I'm right.
At only 89 feet in height, this castle is admittedly not very tall by modern tower standards.
Castle,
But what this
technically.
structure lacks in stature, it more than makes up for in terms of historical significance. The
Yeah.
tower from which it derives its name was completed all the way back in 1078, under the orders of William the Conqueror.
1,000
Since then,
years ago.
it's been progressively expanded and used for a multitude of purposes. How many buildings can you name that served as both a royal residence and a prison over the years?
Ah!
Okay.
Okay, I was gonna have to eat my words, apologize, beg forgiveness for claiming that the Tower of London had anything to do with a prison, but I think he just said it did. It was also a royal residence, and it's 1,000 years old? What? Ridiculous.
Now, how about a zoo? This castle has really been through it all, and somehow is still
Oh, a
standing.
zoo. It
Take
has a
free
zoo?
guided for a closer look at this relic of a building, and
I didn't realize it was a castle. I thought it was a tower, because no mental image comes to mind when I think Tower of London. Actually, for a lot of people, when they think Tower of London, they'd probably confuse that for Big Ben or something, thinking that's a tower-like structure. I'm sure I could make that mistake easily, but had no idea that this was a whole castle.
its many little details, and to learn some of the most interesting chapters from its colourful history.
Yeah.
Number 2, Big Ben, Palace of Westminster.
Possibly the most well-known to Americans when they think of, if they were asked a trivia question, name a London landmark, Big Ben would come to 99.9% of Americans' mouths. And the other 0.01% would be me saying London Eye. And then the American asking me what that was wouldn't understand what I was saying, but I would know. I would know now.
And Westminster Abbey. Don't you love it when a bunch of must-see attractions all happen to be within a stone's throw of each other? It
Yeah.
makes seeing the sights all that much easier and efficient.
This image right here, look at it. This is amazing. This is the historical, like, the rich historical look that comes to mind when I think of Big Ben and London. Stuff like this. But, I'm not very up to date with what modern London really looks like or is all about, or what day-to-day life in London is like. So I feel like that's a whole other side of it that I need to learn about.
Allowing you to really maximize your time in a city. In London, 3 of the most essential attractions stand so very near to each other. Big
Yeah.
Ben requires little introduction, but does warrant clarification. The clock tower itself, the Elizabeth Tower, is technically part of the Palace of Westminster, which is also
Oh.
known as the Houses of Parliament. As for the
It's part of a castle? It's part of Parliament? Technically? Wow. Certainly didn't know that. Just thought it was a clock tower. A very cool clock tower.
name Big Ben, that technically refers to the bell in the tower.
Oh. Oh. We're talking Big Ben is the bell? Not the tower. What a distinction. So, I mean, you can't even. Oh no, I see Big Ben up there. Now that I have to look here, I'm touching it with my mouse. There you are, Big Ben. Now that I know where you are now, you're not the tower. You're the bell. That's an interesting distinction. I wonder if he'll say how it got that name.
Sadly, tours inside the tower are not offered. You can tour the Houses of Parliament, however, as well as neighbouring World Heritage Site Westminster Abbey, and both make for a memorable London experience.
Yeah, look at that. That'd be memorable. Getting to tour that, although I think he said you cannot tour Big Ben or its tower. But you can tour some of this, which would be cool.
Number 1, Buckingham Palace.
Oh, if I had just been patient, I could have kept it a secret that I didn't remember where this was in England. But alas, I've been exposed. I have no option but to just own it and learn more about it here.
Arguably the single most famous residence and palace of any royal family in the world, past or present, Buckingham Palace is an absolute must-visit for anyone travelling to London.
Yeah, I learned all about this and what goes on inside there. Some crazy stuff goes on in there. And they've built some crazy stuff in there to make it modern, and they've also kept all the original historical things pretty much the same as well. I'm a bit of an expert now. If you go watch the video before this one, where I actually learned all about the cool stuff inside.
The original modest structure was completed in 1703, but the impressive building is much the result of multiple subsequent expansions. Here's a tip. If the Queen is home during your visit, you'll be able to tell from the flag that's being flown. The Royal Standard means she's in. The Union flag means she's away. If she is away, before...
That's a good tip. That's a good little tidbit. That'd be so cool to go visit and check out the flag, and you actually are there on a day where you know, like, oh, the Queen's here. It's like winning the Buckingham Palace lottery or something.
Before you get too disappointed, this is actually an opportunity for you to see the magnificent state rooms. Also, be sure to time your visit with the world-renowned changing of the guard.
Oh.
Do you agree with our...
Huh. Wow. That was very entertaining, very interesting. Really gonna be very beneficial when I get around to visiting old London one day. Hopefully. I'm not, I sound like I'm trolling a little bit, but honestly, for any American, any friend I know, anyone I know, London is one of the de facto, the destinations where they want to go. When they talk about exploring the world, going to Europe, they're definitely including visiting London when they say that. That is in the list. It has firmly cemented itself in American culture as this amazing far-off city of wonder, which turned out to be true after now I can confirm after watching these 10 must-see attractions at least. I'm sure there's much more is the thing. But maybe I can learn about all that some other time. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed this reaction, feel free to give it a like or leave a comment. Or if you're interested in more videos like this, me, little old me, reacting to British, UK content, themes, culture, history, go ahead and subscribe to the channel for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.